start off by telling you a little story about something that I saw last weekend. I was walking in the shopping plaza at Grossmont Center in La Mesa, and I saw this display of pictures back from the 1900s, early 1900s, and it was displayed by the La Mesa Historical Society. And it really blew my mind because, back then there were hardly any houses in San Diego, and there were a lot of dirt roads, horses and carriages. I think I saw one car, the one that you crank to start. But the thing that really caught my attention, though, is, no matter how many pictures I looked at, I couldn't help notice that there were hardly anybody that was overweight. Everybody looked really good back then. And it really made me think about how things have changed in just 100 years. So, when I went back home, I wanted to do some research because, I said to myself, those guys were much fitter back then. But, pictures, don't necessarily tell the whole truth. So I did some research, and, I was really surprised. What I did was I looked for the leading cause of death back in 100 years ago, about 1912, and you want to take a guess what came number one? Number one leading cause of death: pneumonia and influenza. That was number one in 1912. Number two was tuberculosis, and number three was diarrhea and infections of the intestines. It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, what happened to, heart disease? What happened to cancer? What happened to strokes, which happen to be the top 3 reasons of death in the United States today. So, things have really changed. And it just really made me think about progress, as we call it, and that back then, maybe they didn't have the sanitation that we have, maybe they didn't have all the Western medicine that we have today, but they ate well and they didn't die of heart disease or cancer like we are right now. So the whole thing about food as it should is kind of thinking about going back to the basics, a time when, all this lifestyle diseases that we have today didn't exist. So another thing that I was kind of searching for, I was just looking at random pictures of 1912, and I saw this picture right here. And that was supposed to be, the greatest invention of man at the time, right? I mean, they built the thing and they thought it was going to be the strongest, safest method of transportation, and hit an iceberg, went down, most people died. It's kind of ironic because 100 years later we're having the same type of moment with food, where we are we're on the Titanic of diets, if you will, and we're gonna go down pretty soon unless we, change course. So about 5 years ago, I started having some health issues. I was 32 at the time, and I just did not feel well at all, and I was overweight. So I wanted to do something about it, and I started looking, like everyone else, at different ways to eat, and there were so many contradicting, diets out there, and not to mention misleading information that I don't want to get started on that right now. But what I ended up doing was, I stopped looking because I was just completely confused, and I took a step back and trying to think, how people, used to eat before all this technology and all this information was available. I mean, it was just you and, Mother Nature pretty much, right? And I said to myself, there's no way that this is the wrong way to eat. This is, how it's been for thousands and thousands of years. you know, there's no chance that it can go wrong that way. So I started eating, you know, carrots and apples and oranges and, you know, basically anything green. And it was pretty amazing. Within weeks, pretty much all my symptoms had disappeared. So only then I knew I was onto something. And, you know, the journey of finding out more and more about this, you know, what we call healthy eating, but it's just really, you know, how people should be eating normally. It's pretty common sense, but, you know, I decided I wanted to take the next step. So Mia and I are, you know, going back to school to get, you know, a license in clinical nutrition from an accredited university in California. And we really want to get into the details. So ultimately, the purpose of Food As It Should is to, you know, capture the ideas and lessons learned from, you know, what we take away from, you know, this journey of continuing education, so to speak, and, you know, share it with you. So we'll be doing videos on just clinical nutrition, recipes, and then also I'd like to get some discussion started, some interactions with all of you. So yeah, looking forward to it, and we'll see you in the next video.